Всем привет, меня зовут София, и я американка. Я слышала, что в Портленде есть место, где можно заказать чай и еду, и все будет очень-очень по-русски. Я думаю, что шеф-повар вырос в Советском Союзе, и он делает все как его бабушка, так что их кухня как классическая Россия. Конечно, мне было интересно, и я хотела попробовать. Я пригласила новых для меня друзей, так что у нас будет хорошая компания и вкусная еда. Честно говоря, я не знаю, что ожидать, но я думаю, что будет весело. Давайте посмотрим.
Okay, so whenever you're ready.
I'm Helen. I'm an education consultant. And a fun fact about me is I love food.
Hi, I'm Lee. I'm a graphic designer. I also love books, and I have a giant bookshelf, and they're all color coordinated in rainbow order.
My name's Joel. I work in education technology as a product designer, and I spent about 5 months in Russia 10 years ago. I got to live with a host family while I was there, and my babushka that I was staying with was really helpful in teaching me a lot of like the do's and don'ts of like superstitious culture. So like, don't shake hands over the doorway and don't whistle indoors and things like that. But I actually had an 11-year-old like host brother, and he's the one who told me about all like the cool things to do around town. So I mean, thank you, Arnold, for being my cool tour guide. This was in Nizhny Novgorod. Nizhny was beautiful. My favorite thing was like getting up early on like Sunday mornings and going out to the Volga. Especially once it kind of frosted over and looking over at the town and seeing the monastery down below. That was definitely my favorite part of the city. So I was studying English and political science in college, in university, and I wanted to find a program that was kind of steeped in both literature and the political world. And Russia was a great place to experience that. There's so much history from a literary perspective, but also the interactions that Americans have had with Russia over the course of the last 200 years have been really fascinating. So it was a really great way to learn not only about Russian culture, but about American culture and how our perceptions of each have informed each other.
За здоровье.
За здоровье.
За здоровье.
But just Borovia.
Здоровье. За здоровье.
I'm just doing it.
Woo! Ooh, this makes me warm, and I like it. I've had pilmeni and sour cherry dumplings, meat, cabbage. There's a lot of cabbage.
Yeah.
That's a Russian thing, right? What about that? There's like a layered dish, right?
A lot of them are layered.
With like herring.
The fur coat?
The fur coat. It's like the bread's really dense. That's some serious bread. It's Russian. I mean, like Russian food seems really heavy, right? It's like, it's rich. How do people stay so thin?
I have not had very much Russian food. I've had tea, and I've heard Joel talk about how much he loves blini.
I probably had two favorites. Blini was really good. And if I could do a quick plug for my favorite like chain restaurant in Russia, Teremok. I really wish you would come to America. I would eat there every day. But my favorite like more truly Russian dish was shi soup, just like mushroom soup that my babushka made. And it was funny because when I had my last meal there, they were like, well, what do you want? I was like, I just want her shi soup. And they just started cracking up because apparently that's like a very basic dish. But it was so good, and I had never had good mushroom soup. I still haven't outside of Russia, so.
Ooh, not a lot. I know that nothing. I know nothing. I know stereotypes. Women take care of themselves, and they're very beautiful.
I feel like I've heard you have to keep your personal belongings close to yourself, especially on transportation or watching out for pickpocketing. So that's something I've heard. It's good to know.
For being honest, we drink a lot. Oh, Russian people are really creative.
How so?
I think they're gutsy, and they know how to be an individual and be bold. I see that with like Russian fashion and Russian artists. And so the way I know Russian culture mostly is through film and television. American film and television. Red from Orange is the New Black. She's a Russian character. That's what I picture when I think of like a middle-aged Russian woman. Like with really fake red hair. Tough as nails. Like, you don't mess with her. Is that true? Is that what like Russian moms are like?
Oh, cute. Do you know who that is, first of all?
No.
Do you know what he is?
He's a bear. Right?
A mouse bear?
What's a bear?
No one knows what he is.
Right.
Oh, really?
Really. He woke up one day in a crate of oranges, and then he started to live his life.
Oh,
And
he's so
cute. He made friends with the animals at the zoo, and his best friend is a crocodile named Gianna who wears a suit and a top hat. What do you think that is a picture of?
A bear?
Do you know who he is?
No.
He's cute though.
He is cute. Scroll down a little bit more to the next page.
It's a bear and a bunny.
Bunny.
That's
A bear with a comb over.
No, it's a pig.
So does that help you out?
Is this
Oh, is it Winnie the Pooh?
Winnie the Pooh?
That's Winnie the Pooh.
Who looks...
When he walks, he doesn't have any legs. His feet are detached from his body.
Whoa.
That's dark. What happened to Christopher Robin?
The thing that I noticed was that my host brother would watch anime. I'd watch it with him, and it would be in English and then translated into, like, the audio was in English, and then there'd be, like, subtitles in Russian in all the anime that I watched with him, which I thought was really funny. Like, why wouldn't it be in Japanese with Russian subtitles?
Oh, that is interesting. That's not an experience I ever had.
Shouldn't watch anime.
No, I should have.
You needed an 11-year-old friend.
Any like video or show that I would watch, if it was foreign, then they would keep the audio in the original language, but then they would continue with the Russian on top
Just
of
talking
it.
over it,
And
yes,
sometimes
yes.
they didn't even change characters. It would just be like one man says everyone's lines.
Yes, I noticed that for sure. I totally forgot about that. It is like the same, like, deep, like, like
and it
his
never,
voice.
Like, almost expressionless at times.
Yes.
And I always wanted to ask.
Russians are smart. That's something I feel. Russians are smart. They work really hard.
Where are you getting all of this from? I'm not saying it's not true.
It's coming back to me. It's like now that I'm thinking about Russian people who I've met or people with Russian parents, I'm remembering. Gymnastics is big. Like, how do you handle the cold? It gets really cold there. Why do you go outside?
Why?
In the winter, it seems miserable. It's probably dark too.
Anytime I've seen a snowflake in the U.S., it has been like just a clunk of snow that comes down. In Russia, it was like these beautiful, articulated, individual snowflakes. Like it was like movie snowflake. Like perfectly crystallized. I don't know if you noticed that at all. But like if one like fell on your lash, you would have like this crystalline, picaresque snowflake just sitting there.
Picturesque?
No, picaresque. They're synonyms.
I'm curious about, I guess, I don't know if it qualifies as a stereotype, but that there's not a lot of smiling. So I don't know if that has to do with how cold it is.
I heard
or
something.
Where that comes from.
I can't remember if this is like because for Russian people, but if someone is smiling, you think they're going to do something to you. Like you don't trust them, which is really interesting.
And we just have a hard time not smiling.
No, it makes me not want to smile. Like it makes so much sense. Like you don't know me. Why are you smiling?
I don't like rudeness, like the sense of rudeness out and about. So I always like would want to lean towards smiling and being friendly with people. Just like in my exchanges, it's like my default setting.
But I imagine you only have so much energy in the winter.
That's true.
You're on about the winter.
And so why expend any niceties to people you don't know? You're tired, it's dark, like I don't know you, I'm just trying to get back to my warm house, need some food.
I think there was something about like reserving that warmth for family and friends. I think that was real. My Russian teacher told me that there were two ways she could tell that I was American. One was that I smiled too much, and two was that I wore white tennis shoes everywhere. Yeah, so I walked into my Russian class the first day, and I'm wearing white tennis shoes, and she just starts laughing, and I was like, why are you laughing at me? And she said, we bury people in white shoes. So she called me Bieli Tufli the whole rest of the semester. So there's a question, do you really bury people in white shoes? Is that a common thing? When I was taking classes at the university, we were at Gagarin University, and we had Russian teachers and Russian classes, but it was all American students that were in the classes. And whenever we took a test, the teacher would leave the room.
What?
Not one time ever was there a teacher in the room during a test. And we asked about this later, and we found out this is from the teacher. I'm not making this up. This is not a Joel rumor. The teacher told us that the students work together on their tests in the university in the other classes. So like they're like, who knows number 20? And they would help each other answer the question.
What?
But even after we found this out, we took like our final exams, and someone was like, okay, so a student said, let's take this Russian style. Who knows number 12? And another student in our class shut them down, would not let them, would not let
We
them
didn't
talk.
want other people to succeed.
Maybe.
That's wrong.
It's so interesting because in real life, like you have a team of people to accomplish goals.
Oh my god, I never thought about that. I love that. Is that really a thing? Like if I was a teacher, I was a teacher, and I left my students for a little bit, or a long time, I wouldn't. But if I did, and all of their tests said the same thing, that'd be a problem.
My favorite babushka memory is when I was really sick. I was sick for like a week, like a sinus thing. I was weak. And my babushka was like, I've had enough of watching you suffer. So she brings me out to the living room, and she has me take off my socks. And she brings out a bottle of vodka. And I was like, I'm not allowed to drink. I'm not old enough.
How old were you?
I was 20. I'm not allowed to drink. And she kept like saying, no, you're not drinking. But she had this bottle of vodka in her hand, so I was so confused, and I thought I was misunderstanding something in Russian. But what she did was she grabbed my foot and she poured vodka on it, and then she started like scratching the sole of my foot. And I'm super ticklish.
Oh my god.
And so I am so sorry, I accidentally kicked my babushka in the face. And like we both started laughing so hard we were crying. It was like one of my favorite things, but like this is her solution to like this head cold that I had, was rubbing vodka into the sole of my feet.
What's an insult in Russian? Something you could call someone.
They're very offended if you're an animal, specifically a goat. Is
So if
something
you call someone a goat?
I don't think a woman would say it. A man
Oh.
would say it. I try to never. It's asking for trouble.
Yeah, because we don't understand what's behind it.
Yeah.
So it just like we think it's not as bad as it is.
Yeah. The connotation, like they feel it so much stronger.
Really?
We were told not to ask about Russian insults, and when we asked our Russian friends anyway, they refused to tell us any.
Why?
Our Russian friends refused to teach us any insults.
Because they're like, you won't understand what you're actually saying.
Yeah, I think that was part of it. They're like, you're gonna start a fight. We care about you.
It's like
Govniki.
Gopniki is like the Russian version of white trash. They're always drunk and on the streets,
Govniki.
and they're famous for wearing Adidas striped tracksuits.
That's what I think
right.
of. That is what I think of when I think of a Russian.
You think of
Like an
tracksuits,
Adidas tracksuit.
but they just squat. They
With
just
like a
squat
gold
and drink
chain
kvass.
and like
Yeah.
missing, like doesn't
Short,
have a
like
lot of
buzz
hair.
cut.
But a lot of hair on your chest.
That is
Probably sticking out of your tracksuit.
Yeah.
I'm going to Russia. I'm gonna go to Russia.
Do it.
You should.
In the spring.
In the spring.
Russia in the spring. I want to experience the white night.
I really liked fall. That was I was there mostly in the fall, but I really liked that time of year.
So what month did you come back?
I came back in December.
Oh,
I also didn't bring a coat with me because I couldn't fit it in my suitcase. My Russian teacher bought my coat off of me when I left because he was like, "You got a good one, and it's ugly, but it would keep me warm." Yeah, in Russia, because I was like, "Why?" I had to have one, so.
Ну все. Спасибо и до встречи. До встречи.
Ну все.
Ну все. Спасибо
и до встречи.
и до встречи.
And then you wink. Okay.
Ну все, спасибо и до встречи.